Scientists say our cars and trucks account for nearly 1/5 of all U.S. emissions. At CES this year, companies are trying to get consumers on board with more efficient alternatives, more batteries, more shared rides, and more computers doing the driving.
I think the obvious one is probably the electrification. All of the big auto companies and the startups are all kind of focused on making better electric vehicles.
Yeah.
I think the one that's maybe not taken into consideration just much is that a lot of the changes that are happening in mobility, because we're changing as consumers, are going to require for us to spend less time in our cars because there's going to be less traffic, because we're more willing to kind of share and be okay with a couple other people in the taxi that you're with.
I'm okay getting in the lift with people that I didn't know beforehand.
Exactly. And I think Airbnb maybe paved that way early, not in the mobility space, but in the hospitality space. Mm-hmm. But that change in our perspective of trusting others has led to kind of changes that are going to happen in the mobility space too.
Ashok Shivanit has built software for big automakers like Ford and tiny startups like May Mobility, an autonomous shuttle maker out of Michigan. We checked out Mila, one ride in the May Mobility fleet. CEO Edwin Olson says each car's unique name, campfire seating style, and interactive touchscreen is intentional. They're what consumers told them they wanted.
Yeah, we're the only AV company in the country that anyone can just go up to one of our vehicles and get a ride. So public roads, mixed traffic in Columbus, and then we also work for a private customer in Detroit.
Wonderful. So, and is it exactly like this? Is it a little different?
It's a little different. So this is our view of what the vehicles would look like in maybe another year or so. The current vehicles do have a safety driver that serves primarily an educational role to help people feel comfortable with the technology. This is our vision of what would happen when you have that room, you free up the extra space.
The idea is to get more people to consider getting rid of their own personal car or SUV and relying on high-tech, high-efficiency alternative transportation instead. Some are just ideas, like these from German company Schaeffler. They're zero-emission biohybrids that look like part car and part bike. The company says they're near production. Large automakers like Nissan are showcasing concepts too, like this IMX that promises the possibility of zero emissions. And it's not just traditional cars, it's trucking and even air taxis. Uber and Bell gave a talk on this concept they think could be making test flights in early 2020. Now, of course, the majority of these are still just concepts. Most self-driving cars are still just in the testing phase. Safety is also a huge concern here for regulators and riders alike. Take Uber, for example. The company only recently started putting its self-driving cars back out on the road. That was after one of them killed a pedestrian in Arizona in 2018.
The goal cannot be that we'll put a robotic system that is as good as a human driver, because society will not accept machines killing people. Right? So you have to be orders of magnitude better than the human experience. So not 10 times better, probably 100 times better, maybe 1,000 times better.
Meantime, companies like May Mobility run short 1-mile routes and keep human drivers on standby in the vehicles. And for what it's worth, auto experts believe consumers are starting to be less wary of AVs. Adding now, the tech companies themselves might need to change their mindset too.
I think it's been a lot of the competition, like who has the best features, who can get it out fastest to market. But now we've reached a point where it's been deployed enough that it's time to get together and clarify a little bit.
Where do you think the industry needs to be right now?
I think it's, historically when you kind of went after doing the end-to-end solutions, that's probably going to go away, where you're going to see smaller players emerge, or even bigger players kind of have smaller initiatives and profit and loss business units that kind of focus on solving a segment of the problem, which will kind of allow them to collaborate with others and with kind of looking through the bigger good and kind of really greater profits too through collaboration rather than competition.